Ay, oo. Ayan, nag-start na. Okay, good afternoon. I am Ressielyn and ZABAT, and today our topic we will discuss about reported questions. So before we go through to the literal definition of this word, let me ask you a question that can be surprisingly synonymous to our topic. May scenario ba na may isang tao na ay may chinika sa inyo siya, tapos tinanong ka niya, tapos chinika mo sa isang tao yung tanong niya sa'yo? Okay. Is there ever a time when someone told you what someone else had asked them? Parang sounds like Marites, di ba? So, Marites moment. So did you already go through that, Ling? Did you experience that?
Yes po, yung less personal. I think yung less personal na questions or mga infos yung masasabi mo sa iba. Pero kapag once they told you something personal, I think you should just keep it to yourself.
Okay, tama naman. So, or likewise, yung kabaliktaran, o iba naman. Is there a time when you told someone what others had asked you? Yung tinanong ka lang, tapos kinuwento mo na sa iba. Mylene, did you experience doing that?
Yes. As a complete marites, I myself, charot. I especially to my friends, lalo na ngayong online, I always do that. Especially if it's about me naman eh. It's not about someone else. So I think it's okay kasi it's about me naman. It's not about anyone else. So I think it does not harm them anymore.
Good, tama naman. So, just kidding aside lang sa marites moment natin na yan. But, binring ko siya kasi somewhat connected siya to our topic today. But of course, in a proper way. May proper ways ba ng pagmamarites? No, proper ways ng pagre-report ng questions. Kasi part naman talaga yan ng discourse at minsan nagiging part ng conversation natin with other persons. So, magko-contribute din to sa proficiency natin on how to use the English language. So now let's dig deep on what reported question is. So, reported question. Reported questions are used to describe questions that someone has asked. It is like transforming the question in a sentence, but in a case that as if you are reporting that questions to someone. In this lesson, we will study the word order or the rule structure on how to properly make a reported question. We will explore different kind of reported questions like the following. Reported open questions, reporting questions with do, reporting closed questions, and reporting questions with or. Each structures have rules that we have to remember, so we will tackle it one by one. Also, it is another definition and clarification that reported question is different with the direct question when it comes to word order. We will differentiate it as we explore the reported open questions. So, where are my keys? All right. Where are my keys? And Adam asked me where his keys were. Have you seen them? Which of these two do you believe is the direct questions and which one is the reported one? Laimi, any idea?
Ma'am,
Hello, Laimi?
you became choppy po. Can you please repeat the question?
Okay. Um, which do you think is the reported one and the direct one in this? Is it where are my keys or Adam asked me where his keys were or have you seen them?
I think the first one, it is where my keys. Where are my keys?
It is the reported questions. It is the direct question. So, okay. Okay, basically, the direct questions are questions that ask directly to you or to someone, and it is in a question form. Of course, with a question mark para sign siya na direct question siya. So, on the other hand, reported questions are in a sentence form, and the structure of this sentence is where we focus on. So, kabaliktaran nung where are my keys, the reported one, wala siyang question mark na tuldok siya. Tuldok yung ending niya. Okay. So let's focus first in where are my keys. My keys is the subject. What about the word are? Are is the tense in this question. Observe the reported question. Figure what changes have been done when the questions becomes reported. I will give you 2 minutes to figure that out. However, you can raise your hands if you already know the answer. Okay, Maylene?
I think the differences that I can notice is that there is the word ask and there becomes were. There is the word were at the
Okay.
end.
Okay. Good. How about you, Laimi? Did you notice something different from direct question when it transformed in reported question?
The word my keys will become his keys.
Good. Okay, let's repeat it. The okay. There is a word as a reporting verb, and which we call the reporting verbs. Also, notice the changes of word. His keys, dating my keys. Okay. The my keys become his keys to refer the person who asked the questions. The tense are become were. Okay? Because usually in the reported questions, the tense move one tense back from the tense in the direct questions. Aside from this, notice the word orders in the different questions. The tense come first, di ba? The tense come first, followed by the subject. When it comes to reported question naman, the subject comes first before the tense. Look at this. The direct question is made up of the question's word, which is the 5 W's and H, followed by the tense, are, and the last subject, and the last is the subject, my kiss. In the reported question, here is the word order or the structure. Adam asked me where his keys were. The reported question made up with first the subject. The subject will be the person who directly asks question. In this case, it is Adam. It is followed by the word ask, which is the reported verb. Remember that it is not told or said because it refers to a speech, to a sentence, and not to a question. So instead of gamitin natin yung told, said, lagi natin ginagamit is as. Okay? And the main, followed by the main verb in reported question, as. And followed by the object, which is the word me. Notice that the piece of me is not directly connected to other pieces. It is because the object me can be left out. Pwede na siyang wala. Pwede mo nang sabihin na, Adam asked where his keys were. Kasi buo pa rin yung thoughts niya, even wala yung me. Next to that is the question word, which is the where, followed by the subject. Remember that the subject comes first before the verb tense in reported questions, which is the his kiss. And the last is the tense. The tense, move one tense back from direct. Kasi di ba meron tayong are, was, were. So yung are, magiging were na siya. Is it clear po ba?
Opo.
Okay, thank you. What about this one? Let's give it a try. Choose the correct form of reported questions in this direct question. Where is the station? Is it he asked me where the station is, or he asked me where is the station? I will give you a minute to decide what is the correct answer. Raise hand if you already know the answer. Okay? Think carefully. He asked me where the station is, or he asked me where is the station? Okay, anyone who already knows the answer? Is it he asked me where the station is, or he asked me where is the station? Okay, Limi, what do you think is correct between the two sentences?
I think the correct sentence po is the first one. He asked me where the station is.
Good, okay. The correct is the first one. He asked me where the station is. And the second one is wrong. What makes the second one wrong? It is the word order, is the station. It is a common mistake in making report question. It is incorrect to swap the verb and the object. Okay, remember that. Now, let's proceed to the next type, reporting questions with do. Let's bake a cake. What do we need? Okay, we have auxiliary verb here, which is do, and followed by the verb need. If we are going to transform that into reported questions, remember and notice that the verb do is not in the reported questions because it is usually leave out when it comes to word. Also notice that the word need becomes needed, right? Because the past form of the verb is usually used. Aside from the rules we have discussed earlier in reporting a question, we remember that if we report a question with do, these are the two rules, okay? Leave out the auxiliary verb do. Tatanggalin mo siya, and past form of the verb is always used. Need, nagiging needed. Okay, let's try this one. What do you think? Mylene, can you transform it into reported question? What do you think?
What do you think will be he asked me what I thought if we are going to change it into a reported question?
Okay. He asked me what I thought. Let's check if Mylene is right. So, Mylene used the proper word orders and rule. Okay. There is, yeah. Wait lang, wala. Sorry. Okay. That the thing become thought because the past tense of verb is used. Also, the word do was omitted. Okay? How about this? What does a florist do? I think it is more fun if we name these two character. I think the guy, the one who's asking. Let's name him James. So James asking this. What does a florist do? We can change it into reported question. Anyone? Do you want to give it a try, Laimi? What does a florist do?
I think it would be James asked me what a florist does.
Good, okay? James asked me what a florist does. Maybe you are wondering why the word does not change, okay? It is because does the tense in this kind of question doesn't always change. Remember that. Is it clear, guys? Okay. I'm being heard clear or not?
Yes, kind of.
Okay. Okay. So let's continue. What about this one? Are you meeting your sales target? This is the direct question. It is considered a close question because it is answerable by yes or no. Let's change it into reported close question. My boss asked me if I was meeting my sales target and reported in this case. Any idea, Maylene?
In the from the direct question, are you meeting your sales agent, and then changing it into a reported question? There, the word if occurred, and are became was, and then the word you became, or your, yeah, you became I.
Right, okay. There is an if um, and your become I. There is also, okay, and then you become I, the R become was. The tense and the subject switch place in the reported questions. The R become was, the you become I, and they switch place. Also, find the tense and subject in your question. You will not be confused when you change into reported question. In this case, it is are as a tense and you as a subject. My boss asked me if I was meeting my sales target. First, there is the what. What comes first in the sentence? Of course, it is the subject, the one who asked the question, which is the boss, followed by the reported verb as. The reported verb as, and the object word, which is me. Okay, I repeat, it can be omitted in the sentence. If you want to include it, it's still okay. It is the sentence was continued by using if or whether. You can use if it's not too formal, and whether if it's formal. Yun lang yung pagkakaiba na. Pero nonetheless, pwede mo silang gamitin parehas. Followed by the subject ay tense, was, and the rest of the sentence. Remember the pattern of the word order. Subject, verb, subject, reported verb, object, if or whether, subject, tense, and the rest of the sentence. Let's follow the structure by changing the next direct questions into reported ones. Okay. What about this? Will you be at the meeting on Monday? Okay, let's name this character again. Let's name the girl again, the one who asked, named Kara. Okay. There is the whether, or you can use it if you want. So tulad ng sabi ko kanina, you can use if or whether, and it's still okay. Parehas na tama. So in this case, the whether was used. I is the subject and would is the verb. Okay, let's proceed to the next slide. Does Joe want tea or coffee? Okay, this is another type of reporting questions with or. So let's take a look at this example. Does Joe want tea or coffee? Let's assume that these two girls, let's name one of them. Let's assume that this girl who wears yellow coat, the one who drinks coffee, want to know more about Joe. And the one who wears green at the bottom here, siya yung tinutukoy ni Jane na Joe. So, tinatanong ni Jane, does Joe want tea or coffee? So, Joe Jane asked me if you wanted tea or coffee. Let's see how this girl report to Joe about the question, this one, yung pinagtanungan ni Jane. How this girl report the question to Joe. Yeah. Notice that the verb want become wanted. And there is also the word if. So, hindi lang sa mga question na may with do, ginagamit yung if. Ginagamit din siya pagka ang questions ay may or. So, wanted, dahil the verb changes the tense, katulad lang nung kanina. Okay? So, how about this one? Let's try this one. Did you decide to walk or run? So let's name this illustration again, Harry. So Harry asked it to that girl. Did you decide to walk or run? So how about this one? Mylene, you want to try changing it into reported question? Harry asked what? Ay.
Okay. Did you decide to walk or run? It will be changed into Harry asked me if I decided to walk or run.
Good. Okay. Harry asked me if I decided to walk or run. Harry is the subject followed by the word as and the subject I. The verb decide becomes decided. The tense changes and the or is in the same position as in the direct questions. Hindi nababago yung or. If nasan siyang position sa direct questions, ganun pa rin siya sa reported question. Okay? Let's sum it up to the rules so you can easily remember all the rules when it comes to forming the reported questions. So, Mylene, can you read all the rules here?
The main verb in reported questions is usually ask. The tense in reported questions usually moves one tense back from the tense in direct questions. The subject comes before the verb in reported questions. An object can be included to say who was asked the original question. The object can be left out. When a direct question uses the verb do, this is left out of reported questions. The past form of the verb is usually used, and the tense doesn't always change.
So these all rules ay naa-apply siya sa different kind of questions. It might be open, close, before, or do. So you just remember that. So other questions is this. Laimi, can you read this question? These rules?
It is incorrect to swap the verb and object in reported questions. If the answer to a question in a direct speech is yes, whether is used to report the question. Whether is more formal. If and whether mean the same thing, but whether is more formal. And if or whether can also be used to report questions to use or in direct speech.
Okay, thank you. This rule list is the compilation of the rules we've discussed and tackled earlier. I wouldn't elaborate it more because it's also already elaborated earlier. However, I need to verify if you understand the rules. Is all the rules clear, class? Maliwanag ba? Naiintindihan ba? Okay.
Yes.
So I think if there is no questions and the rule is clear, you are all ready to answer and participate in our mini activity. So our mini activity entitled as What Did They Ask You? So basically, you will answer the question, What did they ask you? Um, I will show you an illustration that portrays different people, and you will assume that these people will ask you something, but what did they ask you? So, yun, you will assume that these persons in illustration will ask you something, and you will send it to us in reported question form. Okay. Is the instruction clear? Okay. Okay, let's start. First, police officer. I will give you time to think. What they did ask you? What did they ask you? Okay. Mylene, are you willing to share what did they ask you?
Given, for example, if I am driving, the police officers asked me if I have a driver's license.
Good, of course. Yung mga nasa road, yung mga police, they need to check those driver license. Kaya, is it right to assume that question is something they are going to ask you when nakita ka nila sa road na nagda-drive ng isang vehicle? Okay. Second, the doctors. What about this? What did they ask you? Lainey, are you willing to share what did they ask you? Doctors. What doctors may I?
If I went to them for a checkup, I think the doctor asked me if I experienced flu symptoms.
Good. Okay. Of course, the doctor is more concerned about your health, so they will ask something related to your health. Okay. What about this? Who do you think is it? Lainey. Who do you think the illustration portrays? A jeepney driver. Okay. So I will give you minutes to think what a jeepney driver might ask you. Okay? Ano kaya ang itatanong ng isang jeepney driver sa inyo? Are you willing to share what they ask you, Mylene? What the jeepney driver asks you?
The jeepney driver asked me if I already got my change.
Okay, wow, ang bait naman ng jeepney driver na yan, di ba? Nagsusukli. Okay, let's move on. How about the last one? What do you think a teacher will ask you? Laimi, kindly share your thoughts.
My teacher asked whether to join an organization or not.
Good. Okay. How about you, Maylene?
The teacher asked me if I preferred mathematics or English subject.
Good. Okay. Both of you answered very well in our activity and participate well in our discussion. But I think your teacher want to ask you if you did learn something today. or so, did you learn something today?
Yes po.
Good. Okay. That's good to hear. So I enjoyed this meeting and I hope you learned something that you might take to your future lessons. Okay. So this is the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Please. Thank you. Tingnan nyo, may magdadaan na kandidato kaya madaling-madali ako. Tingnan mo.